We are in the laws of Giyur, Siman Reish Samechet, in the 8th Halacha. We mentioned yesterday briefly at the end.
Can you find that real fast?
Yeah, sure. Where's this chet over here?
Oh, okay, great.
We mentioned briefly yesterday about a young person who's converting to Judaism, and that he converts what's called al-dat Beit Din, meaning Beit Din are those people who are converting him. I think one thing I didn't mention yesterday, because the child is not in Halacha considered a Baladat, he's not his own entity yet. When Beit Din converts him, Beit Din, oh, good idea.
Is that magnifying program?
When Beit Din,
Picture.
when Beit Din converts him, I'll tell you the truth. You guys have, maybe it's a good way to do this. You have iPhones.
Yeah.
Why don't you download the app Uvalech Techa B'derech on your way? You have the whole Shulchan Aruch in there, and there's big print as you want.
Is it
It's free.
spelled out in English or Hebrew?
Hebrew.
Oh.
But it's spelled on your way in English. Put in on your way in the App Store.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it too. I'm going to walk you through.
On your way. Oh yeah.
It has all the Jewish books you need. Any, I mean,
Ro'i Reshef. Okay.
yeah.
On your way.
Hi, what is it?
Nice. All the time is over 100 megabyte. Will not download to connect to Wi-Fi. Oh.
How big
Oh, look
is
at
it?
that.
It won't connect unless you're on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Can
It
you
says
give me
we got
that?
Wi-Fi.
What kind of phone you have?
One of us should set up. If anybody has an
Oh, so you have
infinite
to go to
plan,
App
they
Store.
can just turn their Wi-Fi on.
Well, how big is it?
You can do it on.
Is there Wi-Fi
Oh, it's
nearby?
over 100 megabytes. Oh,
On your way.
Oh, it is. Oh,
If somebody has an infinite plan, they could turn on a hotspot for all of us. And we
No,
can
I have
download.
six.
I have an
gig.
infinite plan, but I don't have a hotspot. I don't have that capability.
How can you have an iPhone?
all right.
I
Yeah,
did
you show me
download
how I
it.
do a hotspot, and I
oh,
will
you have
gladly.
Okay, I don't know where you down. This is a Android.
You don't do it here?
Well, they probably have.
Eli, you have an Android phone?
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
I know.
He saw all the signs in Israel. The rabbis say you have to break your iPhone, so he got an Android. That's,
I don't know what you use to download apps. Play Store.
maybe my plan doesn't let me make hotspot.
Yeah, I mean, why would they block? personal. Like they
Let's see what I have.
cut
1
off
second.
personal hotspot
Write
from
it down. I
your,
can go to
Let me
the
see.
My
from
phone.
your settings.
phone company. They
See here.
will
Who's this plan? What's
Sprint.
Yeah, there's probably something here you used to.
Some-
Oh,
I
I have
have
seen
AT&T,
it.
maybe I have. Let me see.
We're up to where it says chet.
Oh, it's on
Here, chet.
Oh,
The bare hativ, the blue text, is a commentary. Skip the blue text.
okay.
You're looking for black text where it says chet.
Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet.
a.
Bama, Devarim, Amurim.
Very good. So we're saying that a child is able to reject his conversion, so to speak. Meaning he can, at age 13, say, hey, I didn't want to be Jewish when I was younger. But that means that when he converts as a child, he's really not converting it out of his own free will, rather someone else is converting him. There is a way in Halacha for his father to be the one to convert him, or his mother to be the one to convert him, meaning that they are his representatives.
It's guaranteed.
Yeah, but the problem is that there are problems in Halacha with that, and rather the custom is that the Beit Din, they're the ones who convert him. Meaning, they say the blessing for him. They're accepting mitzvah. They do al dat Beit Din. They're doing it on the will of Beit Din, and therefore it helps solve some halachic problems. But just suffice to say that when the boy goes into the mikveh, it's the Beit Din that says the blessing for him about going to the mikveh, because he himself is not yet able to make such a bracha. We're in halacha tet. Tet, the next halacha. See how it says Oved Kochavim? The proper text would be Goy. It's not. Oved Kochavim is a idol worshiper, a non-Jew. Sheba lachtoch or lato. He's coming to just give himself a circumcision. Not give himself. He's going to get circumcised. Mipnei makah, mipnei shchin shenolad lo ba. Because of some kind of illness. He has either a wound over there, or he has some kind of... He's not removing his foreskin for halakhic purposes, for conversion purposes. Just doing it for a medical purpose.
Now, Orla itself is the name of the piece of skin.
Yes, very good. So we're saying he's coming to cut his orla.
Yeah.
Be
It
circumcised.
doesn't say Brit, it says
Because it's not a
Orla.
brit, because brit means a covenant between
Right.
Hashem. It's a good question. I mean, we can't use the word brit to something that's meant for a medical purpose. Asur l'Yisrael lechotcha. A Jew is not allowed to cut his olah.
Boy's orla?
Yeah, mipnei shelo nitkaven lemitzvah, because he did not intend to do a mitzvah.
Although today aren't there mohels who...
We'll get there. Lefichach, therefore, im nitkaven hagoy lemila, mitzvah l'Yisrael amunoto. If a non-Jew has an intention, he's doing it for a brit milah, it's a mitzvah to give him the brit milah. But if Stami wants to cut his olah, a Jew's not allowed to. And it says here in the Ramah, "Uvimakom shemutar lerapot goy," and in a situation or in a place where we do give medical attention to non-Jews, then mutar b'chol inyan. Shalom aleichem. We're allowed to do this in any situation. Shalom aleichem.
You know, חייכם לפניכם.
כן.
זה אומרים כשלומדים.
כן.
כשמישהו נכנס אומרים חייכם לפניכם. זה אצל התימנים.
ברוך השם.
ועונים כי יהיה חייך ואורך ימיך.
כי יהיה חייך ואורך ימיך. בכלל, אתה יכול לשבת איתנו, ואנחנו לומדים עוד שעה בערך.
למד קצת, למה לא? לפחות. נשמע עוד. כבר אמרנו דבר תורה, אבל...
ברוך השם. So we're saying here that there are situations clearly where we don't give medical attention to a non-Jew. This is Halacha Yoreda. It's interesting Halacha, why it applied then. This Halacha, suffice to say, does not apply today. Rather, nowadays, we do give medical attention to non-Jews, and we leave that the way it is.
So let me see to get this straight. We're not allowed to give ourselves a Brit for...
No, we are referring to a situation. I don't have this section here. Let's see. I'm going to have to use my own little... So Milah, says the Rambam. The Rambam tells us that the children of Avraham Avinu, whether Yishmael and Yitzchak, both of them are obligated in Brit Milah. And he says that today B'nai Yishmael have been mixed up into a few different nations, but still they're obligated to have a Brit Milah on the 8th day. Not on the 13th year like the Muslims do. On the 8th day, meaning it's a mitzvah for a mohel to give it, according to the Rambam. I don't know what other rabbis are, not a
Muslim
mohel.
can do it
The same.
at the same time. Like the Muslims who had it done weren't 13-year-old boys. They were 8 days or, small.
So, but we understand that also they have an obligation, meaning that they have an obligation.
That's 8 day.
8 days.
No more. But if he's sick or something like this, he can later. But if it's not for the 8th day, no in Shabbos, no in Yom Tov. לא מעלים בשבת, רק אם ביום השמיני. למה?
This one is interesting הלכה. בגלל שהוא לא חייב באותו יום.
לא רק זה, גם הקדוש ברוך הוא נתן לו החומר של מקריש את הדם ביום השמיני הכי הרבה בחיים שלו. ובדקו את זה בקנדה, עשו בדיקה, החומר של התקשרות הדם ביום השמיני של הילד, גם לגוי, ביום השמיני של הילד, החומר הזה הכי הרבה שיש לו בגוף. ביום התשיעי כבר לא אותו דבר. Never, just in 8 days.
ברוך השם.
כן.
משה אמת, תורתו אמת. גוי או גויה. So a Jew, a goy or a man or a woman, שבא ואמר, נתגיירתי בבית דינו של פלוני כראוי. He says, I converted in that guy's bed din. Properly. I mean, I went through a halachic conversion. אינו נאמן לבוא בקהל עד שיביא עדים. You can't trust him to marry into the Jewish people, to be part of your community, until he brings witnesses that he converted. Let's read to the end of the Halacha, you'll see what's going on here. ואם ראינו נוהגים כדרכי ישראל, and if we see that they're acting like Jews, ועושים כל המצוות, and they do all the mitzvot, הרי אלו בחזקת גרי צדק. They're in a chazakah, they're in a strong assumption that they are righteous converts. And even though we don't have witnesses that tell us who they converted in front of, but still, even though we consider them righteous converts, when it comes to marry into Jewish people, we don't let them marry Jews either until they bring witnesses or until they go to the mikveh in front of us. Because they have been assumed by us to be non-Jewish. Understand the situation here. My next door neighbor, who I know my whole life is a non-Jew, comes to me and says, "Hey, I was in LA last week, I converted in Bedin." Your whole life I knew you were a goy. My knowledge of this person is that he's not Jewish. And he tells me that he went to a Bedin and converted. Put aside here logistics and does he have a certificate and a phone number. We're not talking about this. I'm talking about a world where I only have the information that's in front of me. And he comes back to me and I see that he's actually, he keeps Shabbat. He's tzitzit, tefillin, his wife is, Baruch Hashem, they're doing all the mitzvot. I can assume that he's Jewish. But the moment he wants to come marry a Jewish person, then I already have to say either I need two witnesses or I need to go to the mikveh again.
What?
Now,
you need to go to the mikveh?
I need to see him go to the mikveh.
You need to see him go to the mikveh again.
Now,
Aval, like anything else, you could bring him in for an aliyah. You can give him an aliyah.
That's what it seems like. I mean, he's considered Jewish. We see that he's acting like a Jew. And when I say he needs to go to the mikveh in front of us, he needs to have the fadam brit. You have to give him a little prick of a brit. He has to accept the mitzvot. He's basically going through a conversion process again in front of us. But then Maran says a different halacha. Maran says the following. Aval mi sheba v'amar shu goy. But someone who comes to the Bet says, "Hey, I was not Jewish. V'nidgayer b'bedin ne'eman, but I converted in Bedin in LA." I'm using LA as an example. I don't care where. I mean, he says, "I'm a non-Jew who converted to Judaism." Ne'eman. We believe him. What do you believe him? What's the difference between this guy and the last guy?
You didn't know the guy as being non-Jewish in the past.
Very good. By us, there's no knowledge about him that he's a non-Jew. We don't even know who he is. He shows up in the book and says, "I am a convert to Judaism." Says Maran, "Shehapeh she'asar hu hapeh she'itir." The same mouth that forbid himself does. I mean, the same guy who told me I was once not Jewish is the same person who's telling me he is Jewish. When it comes to weighing the facts, in the first scenario, I know on my own. My next door neighbor didn't tell me he's not Jewish. I know he's not Jewish. And for me to give up my knowledge, I have to have another knowledge equally powerful, not just him coming to tell me, I converted. There's going to be two Jewish witnesses tell me we saw him convert. But this guy, very good. This guy who comes in, on what grounds am I invalidating him as a Jew? Only because he told me so. And if he told me that he's not Jewish, and then he told me he converted to Judaism, why would you believe him on the first half of what he said, but not believe him on the second half of what he said?
Certificate?
I'll tell you, putting certificates aside, because this is where the halakha certificates are going to come up. You understand what the difference in the first and second case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was somebody who came to our community, larger community here, a couple years ago, and he claimed to have a conversion and everything, and was able to read Tehillim in Hebrew and so forth, but they didn't consider him to be Jewish.
Did he tell us which Beit Din he converted him?
To somewhere in Los Angeles, as it turns out.
If it was a reliable Beit Din, on what grounds can I not accept him?
But what do you need? Paperwork to?
I need to. If I don't know who he is, I need his word that he's Jewish.
But apparently, again, it was according to different rabbis. He claimed he was Jewish, but they said he's not.
On what grounds can I invalidate someone from being Jewish? Unless I know the Beit Din he converted in was a Beit Din of monkeys. I don't know who.
Well, if he says I converted to VBS,
today's difference. I don't know it's difference.
Okay, if he tells me he sits on a Beit Din of people who don't believe in God, so it doesn't help me. But he tells me I went to a Beit Din, a rabbi that we know who's a HaShamayim. On what grounds can I invalidate him? I wouldn't know that he's not Jewish unless he told me so.
So maybe this fellow is like, I don't remember what my Beit Din was called, or I started going to Reform
Well, it
services.
turned into
and
a
I got
very
more
uncomfortable situation because I didn't know if I was inviting a Jew or not to my house, and he wouldn't get an aliyah when he went to the synagogue I was in at the time. It was very, very, very sketchy situation. And
So I want to read you what our parents write. So Parents writes the following.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Many people, Muslim,
Yeah.
Muslim and the other, I see him. My eyes saw him before. Shulchan Aruch, perfect. Better of the other Jews. Because he learned in the university, he learned the Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, everything. I remember when I student, see one lawyer, it's perfect, Shulchan Aruch. Before I'm teach, better of me. He say, Halacha, da. I told him, what you say? You don't believe me? I told him, it's not normal, my mind. He doesn't understand. He go to the books. He gives Shulchan Aruch. Look, I'm open my eyes. Ribono shel Olam, this guy, better than me. I'm Jewish. He knows the Torah.
It's a strange world. Remind me of a story. Tell you something. Yesterday, this happened in the old city in Yerushalayim. I was told. There was a guy who was walking to the shuk, to the kotel, where I live, in the old city. And he sees an Arab selling tefillin. And on the tefillin, it says on it someone's name, David Glick. Meaning, Machshma stole it from somebody. Or his friend stole it from somebody and he gave it to him to sell to people. So this yeshiva boy said, I can't believe this tefillin, they're going to be in the Arab market by the Arabs. He says, how much do you want for the tefillin? 1,000 shekels. 1,000 shekels, really, you're so fair, I don't even know who you are. So haggling back for it, 800 shekels. So he doesn't know what to do. Should he buy it? Should he not buy it? He went to his rabbi. It's about $200 and some. So he went to his rabbi. His rabbi said, you should buy it from him, but not at that price. Because if you give him 800 shekels for it, then he'll steal more tefillin. It's not smart. No. Better lose the pair of tefillin than this.
And have somebody get the idea.
So he said you have to get him down really low. Really low. So what did he do? He went today in the morning to the shuk. He goes to the Arabs and says, listen, I want the tefillin. I just want to make sure it's my size. Can I try them on? Sure. So he tries them on. Puts on the hand tefillin. Puts on the head tefillin. He said, wait a second, where's the one for the right hand? Arabs, what do you mean? This is what the guy gave me. This is what my what's the word for it? My vendor. This is what my vendor gave me. Only two. He says, your vendor's trying to rip me off. He made a whole commotion. You're trying to rip me off? You're only giving me one hand and one hand. I need two hands. Screaming at him. The guy says, I don't want your tefillin. Get out. I don't. What do I need a half a tefillin for? He said, fine, take it. 150 shekels, take it. He didn't want to get stuck. It's like, this guy's at least going to take it. So he gave it them for 150 shekalim and he walked away with the tefillin. That's why you have B'choi Yeshiva. No, so now, how do I know about the story? Because we all got emails today that this boy is looking for David Glick to give him back his tefillin.
Many students and the other people, Arabic, Muslim, write tefillin and mezuzah. And many people, Sofrim, from Bnei Brak, the Arab work for him. Him pay money about that.
Hashem Yishmor.
Okay. My son.
I want to finish the halacha. What's it? The Katav Rambam. The Rambam tells us, "B'met dvarim amurim." What are we talking about? In which situation? Be'eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel. Uvotan hayimim shechaskat hakol sham mechaskat Yisrael. In a place where the assumption is that everybody in Israel is Jewish. Aval b'chutz la'aretz, but outside of Israel, tzarich lahavir raya. You have to bring a proof that you converted. ואחר כך חיסה ישראלית שמעלה אסור ביוחסין, and then only afterwards you could marry, because our rabbis took very carefully this idea of Jews marrying only Jews. And so this halacha applies only in Israel, where the assumption is most people are Jewish. Outside of Israel, you have to actually have verifiable proof that this person is Jewish. Now, parents writes the following. What does it mean, I converted in the Beit Din, that's a proper Beit Din? Says נראה לי יעקב פרץ, צריך לדעת אצל איזה בית דין התגייר. You have to know which Beit Din you converted. Today, all kinds of people are using the word Beit Din. I was once in a store here in San Diego, a long time ago, before I even moved here. And there was a package of hot dogs that had on it, wanted to catch my eye, because like you're going through the aisle where the yogurt's always going to have hot dogs. Like, it looks like the Badatz from Jerusalem gave a seal, all Hebrew letters in the circle, Harav, Agaon, this one, the Kohen, Shlita, Av Bedin, all kinds of things. Now, I'm looking at this name. I know this name. This name is a famous name of a rabbi who's not even Orthodox. He's not even Orthodox. And so he tells me, so I'm looking through these, I'm looking through the names, I'm going on my phone. The guy's a Reform rabbi. How to become an Av Bedin? He's not even a Kohen. He decided he's a Kohen. He put his name Kohen, put his name Av Bedin, put his name, and so today you have to be careful. Not everyone who calls himself Av Bedin is an Av Bedin.
He knew what a good hexer would look like.
And he made a seal like it. And so this is a problem. So says Allah, what's the problem here? You have to know Shehem Bedin Tzedek v'lo ma'mekulkalin. You have to know it's not from the crooked but they didn't. Parentheses in parentheses, Kadon, Reformim v'chadome lehem. We have all kinds of reform, conservative but they didn't. I'm not here telling you that they're bad people. I'm telling you as Halacha doesn't allow for me to say that conversion follows the rules of Shulchan Aruch. And when you have the ability to actually verify at the Beit Din, then that's your obligation. Call the Beit Din. One person should call the Beit Din and say, I verify these people are Jewish, and so on and so forth. But this is not the craziest part of this Halacha. It's not the craziest part of the Halacha. Mish haya muchzak b'Yisrael. Somebody who comes to me and we know that he's Jewish. What do we know he's Jewish? He is the second case. I mean, he comes and we see he's living Torah, living mitzvot. I don't have any reason to assume that he's not Jewish. Imagine somebody in the Beit Knesset stands up on Shabbat morning and he says, Amar nitgayarti beni leben atzmi. I converted on my own.
One.
What do you mean on my own?
Gave himself a brit.
Yeah, he did his own conversion. Meaning, is that kosher?
I just joined the Jewish people. I just joined up. I hitched my wagon.
I gave you an example of a Rebbe in New York who never had a conversion.
Okay, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yesh lo banim, if he has children, eino ne'eman al habanim, aval ne'eman al atzmo. You understand what I'm telling you? That he is able to invalidate himself as a Jew. He's able to say, I'm not really Jewish. But his children, he can't invalidate them.
So his children
he's able to make himself chadichat isur. He's able to make himself into a piece of non-kosher meat. But not his children, and who else not?
His wife.
Not his wife either. Why? Oh, you're not Jewish. So your testimony is not valid in Beit Din. Your testimony is not valid in Beit Din. So you can invalidate yourself. You made yourself a goy. Your children, you can't invalidate them. He's not. He's non-Jewish enough to invalidate himself, but not Jewish enough to invalidate his wife or his kids.
Wow.
Meaning the only person you're going to hurt is yourself. Now you can imagine which scenario would this happen. Imagine the following scenario. Imagine a guy's getting divorced. It's an ugly divorce. And he wants to get his wife. He wants to get his kids. He wants to ruin their lives. So he stands up and he says,
I'm not Jewish.
I'm not Jewish anymore. And to his kids, what does it do? It makes them children of a non-Jewish man. But to his wife, it means that she can't marry a Kohen anymore. And we're saying, oh, you know what? You don't have the power to do such a thing. The way he comes back in such a situation is he goes to the Beit Din and he does all the steps of conversion from the beginning.
Why would he do that if he's so listening to?
Maybe he wants to come in, he regrets it. He stands up, I'm not Jewish. So we have to believe him, he's not Jewish. And I'll tell you here the problem.
But no, isn't he really saying though, I've changed my mind as from this point I'm not Jewish, but before I considered myself Jewish or was?
How could he do such a thing? He can't be Jewish and then become not Jewish.
Once a Jew, always a Jew.
If he does, this, I thought maybe this was kind of like a twilight zone in between.
No, it's not.
So he was saying that he never had the status of a Jew.
Oh. Zeb's asking me to give a realistic scenario. This halakha is a very interesting one. Because we have a lot of situations where people come to us and tell us they're Jewish or tell us they converted to Judaism, and we don't really have a verifiable way to check up on it. This halakha,
I told you.
right? This halakha is an interesting thing. So today I'll tell you what we do. Today
they have a rabbi in the soul who participate in the conversion.
where?
Sometimes it happens. If he's a Jew, he may have some rabbi.
Yeah, but what about somebody who comes from somewhere else?
Oh, that is a different.
This is interesting thing. What about someone who comes from somewhere else? In this situation, we actually do write today a shtar of conversion, like a ketubah. The 3 dayanim of the Beit Din sign on this shtar that this person converted on this date in this place, he accepted mitzvot, so on and so forth. I have a nusach of the shtar if you'd like to see, but there is such a shtar. The interesting situation here is not about a person just randomly comes to us and tells us he converted. Let me give you this scenario. The person converts in the most simple way to convert. Remember yesterday we mentioned he can do it in front of one person, just jumps into the mikveh in front of one. I mean, he's not even really going for conversion. We mentioned that person is a convert, right?
Right.
Now this person shows up to a community and says, I'm Jewish. He might actually halakhically be Jewish, but he has no way to prove it. Because he doesn't have witnesses of his conversion.
One's not enough.
And therefore you see the flaw in that minute yesterday. So why should a person go through the conversion process? He might as well just jump into the mikveh in front of a Jew or two and in the middle of the night and then but we the problem with that is because once he does a conversion like that, there's no way for us to know. And we need witnesses to know that he's Jewish. We need witnesses to know, and this halakha is the flip side of that other halakha. Yes, technically he could jump into the mikveh, but he's going to lose out at the end because of it.
It's a legal transaction in a way as well as a spiritual one.
Very good, and it needs to have witnesses on it. And
it's like any transaction deal, anything else. I mean, when you have a ketubah, you have to have proof that you're married to this person.
very good,
You
and
have to always show it.
especially in a situation like this, where we're taking a person out of a non-Jewish status to Jewish status. It's not like you own a donkey, you don't own a donkey. This is a real transition. For example, like on a get. On a get, you're taking a woman who until today, if Khalila somebody would sleep with her, would be the worst transgression possible. And you're saying today she can marry anybody she wants. These things require an edut, a real testimony, to be able to transform their status. It's not a simple thing to transform status. But this halakha Yud Bet is the one we've all been waiting for. Halakha 12 is the last halakha of this section of conversion. Essentially the next chapter is also about conversion, but it's all about, and we'll do that next week with Hashem, it's all about the convert once he converts to Judaism. Who can he marry? He's not really related to his sister anymore, or to his mother, so can he marry them? Okay, maybe he can't marry them. If he can't marry them, can he be alone with them anymore? Can he touch them? Can he... all kinds of halachot that come up in this situation. These are interesting halachot.
Oh, can you daven for them if they...
What if they pass
like
away and they're yard sites and all kinds of halachot that come into this? That's next week's discussion. This week is what I call seif. It's not bet, seif but. This is but. Everything we've said now, but there's something else. Let's read Halacha Yud Bet. Shiavo hager lehitgeyer. When the convert comes to convert to Judaism. Bodkim achav. Really, this halakha should have been back in halakha 2. Not here, in 12. Why Maran put it up this way, I don't know. Shiavo hager lehitgeyer. When the non-Jew comes to convert, bodkim achav. You have to check him. Shema bigral mamon shiton. Maybe he's converting because of money that he's going to make. Imagine you live in a society where Jews are very wealthy. And you want to get in society with the Jews. Yeah. And so the way to do that is to convert. Now you might think this is a far-fetched scenario. Who wants to convert to be Jewish? My father, when he was working in Orange County, had as his co-worker was an Indian man, non-Jewish. And he asked my father how much it costs to convert to Judaism. My father said, why in the world would he want to convert to Judaism? He said he needs to help out his cousin who wants to come over from India to America. He said visas, listen to this, America issues, at least this was then, I don't know what it looks like today. So America issues the same number of visas to India as they do to Israel. And the chances of getting a visa in India are much lower than the chances of getting a visa from Israel. But the only way you can get a visa in Israel is if you're an Israeli citizen. And the only way you can become an Israeli citizen is by being Jewish. And so his cousin wanted to know if there's some rabbi that he could pay that will convert him so he can make Aliyah to Israel for a few months and then come to America as an Israeli citizen, not as an Indian citizen. So there are scenarios where people might convert for money. You don't know. We didn't think about this scenario, but it's clearly a true one. Or maybe he'll get some kind of position of authority, some kind of position of honor. What could be a position of honor or authority he'll get as a Jew?
Well, in some societies, it's like the Rambam's position with the Sultan of Egypt. The Jews were known as great physicians or handling money.
So he wanted to get into that chevra.
Yeah, it's a good living.
I'm asking you to remember in the back of your mind the story of Hillel, who converts someone to Judaism who wants to be the Kohen Gadol.
Oh,
Remember that?
Yeah.
Is there no greater situation of converting someone for position of authority than that? Keep that in the back burner. I'm going to get to that story. If I forget to get to that story, remind me. If it's not today, then it's next week. Maybe he's afraid. Afraid of what? In what situation would a non-Jew convert to Judaism because he's afraid of something?
He's afraid of... maybe he's like another minority that's even more persecuted than the Jews.
Interesting.
Yazidi.
I mean, he's afraid of non-Jews. Imagine if he's afraid of the Jews. In the Megillah, Esther, once Mordechai and Esther finally make it big with the Achashverosh, you find that thousands and thousands of non-Jews convert to Judaism.
Wow.
Ki nafal pachad Mordechai, or pachad HaYehudim alehim, because the Jews, they were terrified of them. They were coming to kill people all over the streets now. And they said, listen, I don't want to be non-Jewish today.
It's historically, that's a fact.
The word that the Megillah uses, interestingly enough, is not converting to Judaism because it wasn't a righteous conversion, but they call them mityahadim. They like Jewified themselves. And it doesn't. I haven't seen a commentary that explains if that was. I haven't looked hard enough.
Special word.
Did they go to Bedin or did they just like dress Jewish and pretend to be Jewish? I don't know exactly what happened there.
So what happened with the people of Shechem when they stole Dinah and the brothers of Dinah said you have to have a brit in order
agreed
to
to do it.
mix with our family? So were they deicized in that?
It's an interesting question. Our rabbis do deal with that.
Yeah.
I once asked the question to my father-in-law. My father-in-law said that there was a Hasidic rabbi, I don't remember his name, who said that the only reason Shimon and Levi made the people of Shechem get a Brit Milah was to kill them. Why? He says if they were non-Jews and they would have killed them, the UN would go crazy. But once he gave them a Brit Milah, he made them Jewish. Nobody cares if you massacre a whole town of Jews. And that's the reason why he first gave them a Brit Milah.
Whoa.
I didn't know that was right.
Comes out of Eastern European.
Yeah, that was
experience,
definitely,
unfortunately.
but it was very clever. I thought I appreciated that.
Well, obviously Yaakov didn't buy it, did he? So what you gonna do?
Right, he curses their anger. Vim ishu, and if he's a man, bodkin acharav, you have to check shema inav natan bisha yehudit. Maybe he has his eye on a Jewish girl.
Yeah.
Vim ishahi, and if she's a woman, bodkin achareha shema ineh natana b'bachwa Yisrael. Maybe she has her eye on a Jewish guy. How many times does this happen? All over the place.
Millions.
I told you with Rav Shlomo one time what happened that time?
With what?
With that situation?
About such a thing?
Yeah.
Could be. I remember.
What do you do?
Rav Shlomo and I were, he used to go everywhere, right? And I used to play with him. So there was an ashram in New Mexico. And on the side, they had like a summer festival, the Sikhs, right? American Sikhs. And they were all in their white turbans and everything. We played a little concert because most of them were Jewish, right?
Most of them were Jewish.
Yeah, most were Jewish. Yeah, 80% of this ashram of a few thousand people were Jewish.
Wow.
They were looking for some kind of spiritual. So at the end of the concert, this black dude comes up, and he's like, Rav Shlomo, yes, brother. I'm in love with a Jewish girl. I was wondering if you convert me, please, So Shlomo just grins him and gives him the peace sign and says, "Sorry, brother."
Sorry, brother. More people should do that. I tell you, when I was like in college or out of college, I would go to these like quote unquote Jewish singles mixers. You meet so many non-Jewish women there, and I'd ask them like, "What do you do?" I mean, it was like a real betrayal. Like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you?
But you came here to look for Jewish people, not
Yeah, not to.
Those Jewish guys are the best.
Yeah, that's what that's.
They don't
gonna
beat
be
their
here.
wives.
So, so this story here, and I want to tell you a story of Masechet Menachot. Masechet Menachot has a very, very it's an interesting story because we don't really know what to do with it. But let me. Could be that I remember.
That is a prevailing opinion. Okay? Yes, but
Yeah, the Sikhs used to come to my house and pray.
I went to a Jewish event once in Balboa Park. I met 2 Italian Catholic lesbians at a Jewish event.
So
Great.
Takes all kinds, we used to say.
You'll never forget.
I'll never forget that event. 2 Italian.
So aside from the story of Hillel and the ladies that come to the 3 converts that come to convert by them, the story of Masechet Menachot, I'm just forgetting the rabbi's name who was in the story. One of the Amoraim. He had a student who was a very righteous man. One of the tzaddikim in his yeshiva. If they told me the story about yeshiva boy today, we'd have a different opinion. But in the times of the Gemara, the story seemed to have been okay. This man was a yeshiva boy in the yeshiva, one of the big tzaddikim in the times of the Talmud. And he heard that in the island somewhere, imagine Cyprus, there was a non-Jewish prostitute. That it was the most famous prostitute of all the non-Jewish prostitutes.
Dordia. He was the one who would visit every prostitute and then
No.
put his leg.
No, not the same
his
one.
legs.
Not the
Another
same
one.
this is another one.
And
There's a few patrons apparently.
he sends a letter with money and makes an appointment. Finally comes the day of that appointment. He travels by boat. He goes to her. And she's so impressed with him that she puts 7 beds of silver or 1 bed of gold. Now, obviously, if you look in the commentaries of the Agadah, they have all kinds of what is the meaning of the story, what does it represent. I'm not dealing with it, just the story itself. And this man, his thing was mitzvah tzitzit. That was his mitzvah. Our parents last week in the shiur said that every person should have one mitzvah that they do in its entirety. That you are, every opinion about it, you take into consideration, and a mitzvah that you don't tell anybody that you do. Meaning it should be your mitzvah. I'll tell that even your wife shouldn't know that you do it. Meaning it should be a personal mitzvah that will get you to Gan Eden. It's your mitzvah. It's something that nobody. Meaning not something you get any ego from, not something you show off to anybody else from. But and he said that a person should decide already this week what their mitzvah should be. That's what I'll bet. I'm going to call him to get some suggestions.
Rabbi Nachman said something similar to that.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay. I mean, it's brought down a number of books, but our parents pushed it last week.
Going to prostitute, have go to heaven.
What?
This story here.
No, so what happens to the yeshiva boy? So tzitzit was his mitzvah. And he's climbing up the 7 beds behind his lady. And as he reaches the 8th bed, the tzitzit that he was wearing hits him on his forehead. I said, what am I doing here? I'm in such a dirty place, such a low place. He tells her, listen, I'm very sorry, but I have to go. And she looks and says, are you crazy? You came all the way here, you paid this much money. She says, you're looking at me, so I'm not dressed, she tells him, as the Gemara says. He says, tell me what ugly thing you saw in me that you don't want to be with me. He says, I didn't see anything in you, but I just remember that I'm a servant of Hashem and I don't belong here. And he said, please, before you go, just tell me the name of the yeshiva you're from. I don't know. My recommendation to a yeshiva student, make up the name of a yeshiva. Right? Like that's but he tells her, and he runs away. She follows him to Israel, or Bavel, I don't know exactly where the story takes place, and comes to his yeshiva. And she tells the Rosh Yeshiva, listen, I'm a prostitute from this island, and I want to marry that yeshiva boy. And he says, okay. He converts her to Judaism, and he marries her to the yeshiva boy. And this rabbi at the chuppah tells the students, you see, you should learn from here in life that anything that you want to do in a prohibited fashion, you can do in a permitted fashion. Sometimes you just have to ask Hashem to make it work for you that way. This story is a strange story. It seems like our rabbis are saying that he got a reward for being careful about this mitzvah of tzitzit. He got a reward that she ended up being his wife, which is a crazy story. I mean, the story here is a strange story. But in that situation, again, you find a place where she's telling him, I'm converting because of this guy. And he still converts her to Judaism.
But why did she fall for this guy? Because he was able to resist her. And he loved Hashem more than he loved her.
So you're onto something. This is the
Yeah,
answer.
there's a more noble
wait.
reason than the average, like, Jewish guys don't hit their girlfriends or...
So say better than what you're
That
saying right
thing
now.
can be a-
Why is she converting? Because of him?
because of the respect for the Jewish people.
She seems to have been, this is one of the rabbis there, right? That she has been so impressed with what Judaism can do to a person that she decided she also wants to be Jewish. And she wants to be Jewish and marry him, but she's not, even if he wouldn't marry her, seems like she would still convert.
She would find a different...
I mean, this had blown her, nobody else in the world was able to resist except for one person who was connected to Torah. And that's the answer, by the way. The answer to the question is that clearly the rabbi who converted her knew that her motives were that she wanted to be Jewish, and she just was hoping at the same time to marry this guy, but even if she wouldn't, she would also convert.
But that was a very powerful thing that his rabbi said, which is that anything that you want that's not permissible, you can have it in a permissible
fashion.
That's a very powerful Torah.
This is connected to another teaching of our rabbis that say, and this is, they're not the kind of thing they tell you in Jewish ascetic school, because in Judaism we don't really believe in ascetic school. Chachamim say that Hashem will give every person din, judgment, on anything that was permitted in this world that he did not enjoy.
Right, that's a famous one.
The person, I wanted to study Torah locked up in a little shack, and I don't want to eat food, and I never want to see a sunset, and I don't want to walk in the field. All the things he thinks are so earthly. Hashem will give him din. And what do you mean? I created a world that was beautiful. I'm not telling you the prohibited things, the permitted things that I allowed in this world to enjoy. And you chose to ignore my world? What kind of person are you? I read the Rav Chaim Kanievsky. I just read this in a Haredi publication, so it must be true.
You subscribe to Haredi publication?
No, I saw when I was in my in-laws' house, all kinds of publications going around. Rav Chaim Kanievsky goes every morning to the beach for a walk.
Good for him.
He takes time for a walk every morning. I don't know exactly how long it said, but he went to the beach. Oh, what kind of rabbi goes to the beach? Clearly, there's a world. It's also his world. Hashem also give him the world, not to everybody else. Let's finish this halacha. And if we don't find an ilah, meaning an ulterior motive, we again do this whole thing where we tell them how difficult the Torah is and tell them all the heavy mitzvot. אם קיבלו ולא פירשו וראו אותם שחזרו מאהבה, if we see that they hear this, they don't leave, and they said, I want to accept the Torah with love, מקבלים אותם, we accept them to be Jewish. Okay, so we have to ask these questions, we have to check why are they coming, and then we accept them to Judaism. But, ואם לא בדקו אחריו, what if the Beit Din didn't ask any questions, they didn't check, they forgot, they didn't want to, whatever it was, they didn't ask. או שלא הודיעוהו שכר המצוות ועונשן, or they didn't tell him this whole discussion about the details of mitzvah. They told him, listen, you want to be Jewish, you want to accept Torah, but they didn't tell him Shabbat, brachot, they didn't tell him all the details, just in general. Umal, and he has a brit milah, v'taval, and he goes to the mikveh, b'fnei gimel hediotot, in front of 3 ignoramuses. Harei ze ger, he is a convert to Judaism, says Maran. Afilu noda shebishvil davar hu mitgayer, and even if you find out afterwards that he converted for an ulterior motive, ho'il umal v'taval, once he had his brit milah and went to the mikveh, yatsa miklal hagoyim, he's left the status of a non-Jew. V'chosheshim no ad shetitbarer tzidkato, and we wait until his, we see that he actually comes through. V'afilu chazar v'avad elilim, and even if he goes back and actually worships idols, harei hu kisrael mumar, he's like a non-Jew who's a heretic, not like a non-Jew. He's like a Jew who's a heretic. Sorry, he's a Jewish heretic. He doesn't go back to being non-Jewish. Shekidushav kiddushim, that if he marries a woman, she's married to him, meaning he has action like a Jew. The Ramah adds an interesting halacha.
Jewish lady or non-Jewish lady?
A Jewish lady. Ramah writes, Yisrael Mumar, a Jewish heretic, Sha'asa Tshuva, that returns to the fold, En tzarich litbol rak midrabanan. He only has to go to the mikveh on a rabbinic level. Yeah. No, sorry. En tzarich litbol. He doesn't have to go to the mikveh. Rak midrabanan, yesh litbol l'kabel av divrei chaverut b'fnei gimel. But the proper thing for him
says,
to do,
I'm a Christian, whatever, then that person should go.
according to the Ramah, he should go to the mikveh in front of 3 Jews, but only on a rabbinic level. It's not biblically obligated to him, but on a rabbinic level.
So let me ask you a question. The change of status of a non-Jew to a Jew, is it a legalistic aspect? Is there some kind of spiritual
Oh, we talked about that
change?
yesterday.
So this is Rav Kook and Rav Uziel's big fight. Rav Kook says there's a deep spiritual transformation that has to happen here. And Rav Uziel says that might be true according to Kabbalah, according to spiritual teachings,
Right.
but according to Halacha, we're not demanding such a thing from him. And maybe to answer how we can live both of these worlds together, you notice in this Halacha, Maran doesn't say that he's a convert. He says, if we find out that he converted for an ulterior motive, he's left the category of being non-Jewish. There are some rabbis who suggest that also from the text of the Rambam and the text of the Shulchan Aruch, there are 2 categories of conversion. The Rambam mentions the person who converts to Judaism with such flowery language, like he's entering the wings of the Shekhinah and he's joining the eternal fate of the Jewish people. And then the Rambam says, and he who converts for an ulterior motive, Yatsa Miklal Goy. He's left the category of being a Goy. And we say maybe there's 2 levels of conversion here. There's a very basic conversion, which is he's no longer not Jewish. He's no longer not Jewish.
Using a double negative here.
Right, but to reach that level where he's under the wings of the Shekhinah, that he's fully embraced by a Kadosh Baruch Hu and the eternal fate of his people, that takes a lot more work. And,
Well, it's
and
like the difference between marrying somebody so you can get like their green card and marrying somebody because you love
very
them.
good, very good. And could it be that somebody will marry someone for their green card and then eventually actually fall in love with them?
Possible.
That's possible. And in which situation they've now gone up to that next step. Now, what's the practical difference halachically between the 2? There isn't, because halachically
On a legalist level.
they passed. It's a pass or fail grade. On a spiritual level, it could be that they've now reached a whole new level of being Jewish. And I think that you will find such categories of converts to the Jewish people. There are always those who come really l'shem shamayim. It doesn't make, and you'll see this. You see that they'll come to Am Yisrael and they'll go through hell and back to make it to Am Yisrael, and they're still here. That person, that's what I mean when I pray in my Shemoneh Esrei. I should be like the righteous converts. That's what I'm referring to. Rav Shach was asked an interesting question. Rav Shach was asked, why we make a blessing in the morning? Shelo asani goy. You didn't create me a non-Jew. I should have made a blessing. You created me Jewish. And Rav Shach says, what are you? It's foolish. You think Hashem created you Jewish? Hashem didn't create you Jewish. Hashem created you not a non-Jew. You have to work very hard in your life to become Jewish. It's not like what they tell you on the street, that you're born Jewish, you're part of this country club, and you can be the worst criminal in the world, and as long as you're Jewish, you're great. That's not true. Rav Shach, listen, does Halacha back him up? Not necessarily.
That is applicable to
But
everybody?
in the Jewish ethical and moral code, sure, you have to work hard to be a Jew.
So when you're saying that bracha, what you're really saying then is you created me with the potential,
To
but
be
it's my obligation to fulfill that potential.
absolutely very good. That's what Rav Shach understood in that bracha.
All right,
And I find that to
takes
be
that whole bracha, turns it
in a
around.
different
Everybody
place.
can be potential.
In a different place.
Well, in other words, a Jew could just sit on his duff and not do anything and just be
potential, yeah,
an
can be.
Amaharis.
You
but
think-
I'm blessed.
Sometimes, and I had this recently when I came back, and I know we talked about conversion and the possibility. I don't know. Some people don't
Oh,
like
you got the
converts.
certificate to convert?
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. And the answer is, what do you mean you don't like? I had this conversation with a Syrian guy from New York. We don't accept converts. So Baruch Hashem, you don't keep Shabbat. You don't keep kosher. You don't go to Bet Knesset. I don't even know if you believe in Hashem, but you don't accept converts. You tell me that the person who comes to Am Yisrael and believes in Hashem and keeps Shabbat and keeps kosher and sends their kids to Jewish school and comes to Bet Knesset 3 times a day and makes it here on Shabbat, you don't accept him? Who asked you? Sometimes you have to tell a person, who asked you? This person is way more Jewish than you are. And sometimes you just have to say it the way it is. I'm not taking away his Jewishness, but then don't come to me and tell me that you don't appreciate their Jewish. sometimes you have to stand up for what's correct. And not
Sometimes, of course, you
bend
also get
over.
people who go through all that, and then they just lose the wind at their back and just get
So our rabbis talk about this a
drop out
lot,
of
that it's a scary thing. People get disillusioned and leave, which is probably why we try to make this process take time and not on purpose, but to be absorbed into a community is different than to try to latch onto a community. But I'll tell you that it's not just with converts. I've seen this very often with people who even become, the word is used, balei tshuva, and they fall in love with some kind of Judaism in Yerushalayim, and then they either get in and realize that they're never going to be in to a certain circle, meaning the rabbi that made me religious, so to speak, will never let me marry his daughter,
Right.
and that feeling is terrible. I mean, it's you're being a hypocrite. Why would you say, oh yeah, now you're observant, but you're not good enough for me? What kind of ridiculous attitude is that? Or they fall in love with something, and then they come stateside, or they come somewhere else, and they don't find that same connection that they found somewhere else. And I saw this, for example, with a lot of people who were, even now, Shlomo Kambach's daughter gave a speech, and I felt for her. She said that the Judaism that she fell in love with by her dad, she didn't find anywhere else. And I don't think she's wrong.
No.
I don't think she's wrong, and I think
Yeah,
that's a
the
big
special
problem.
thing.
So I think in general, the natural feeling is sometimes you set people's expectations over here without being realistic to them. You know, there are problems. The Jewish world has its problems, like every other world has its problems. Unless you're ready to face those problems, you might actually flop back.
That whole
Because
thing with the Matis Yahoo blog I shared.
I'm sure that's right. The same thing that goes on. And we sometimes in the Jewish community, I've heard rabbis say, you know, in the religious community, marriage is the best thing in the world. Let me tell you. In the religious community, I believe that through the teachings of the Torah, we have the ability to have the healthiest,
Potential.
happiest marriages that anybody else in the world has. But it's not true that in the religious community, marriages are Gan Eden. I'll tell you, I don't know that it's worse than anywhere else, but it's just as bad as anywhere else.
If you don't work on it, you're not going to get the fruit.
Absolutely. We tell people, you know, in the religious community, your kids, you know how much they respect you in the... Have you ever had kids in the religious community? I have to tell you. It's not so simple. But we tell people these like cliche promises, and then they come in and essentially we lie to them. So don't market lies, market the truth. We're a community that struggles like every other community, but we have the key to the highest places in the world. I can't promise you that every Jew who wears a kippah on his head uses that key to open up the doors of the potential, but you will find a place where there are such Jews. That's the hope. We'll continue this next week. God willing.